We've reached the part of the year where at the time that I record, the sunlight is like directly on my computer screen in a way that the light bounces back into my eyes. So green screen is on sunblocker duty today. Hello folks, Phil Gallagher, aka ThrabenU here for another Legacy video, and today we are gonna be playing some Miracles. Now, full disclosure, Ellis sent me a list prior to the BNR update, and mentally I went, if I want Miracles to be viable, I should really wait until after the update. So this was a pre-BNR update, pre-Entomb ban, pre-Nadu ban version of Miracles that I was sent. And I was told the big thing that should remain in the deck is the Brainsurge and then some number of other additional Miracle cards. Now, Brainstorm, obviously busted card. Based on things like play rate, it should probably be banned in Legacy. But we love it. Brainstorm is a really fun card and an incredibly skill-intensive card, so we keep it around. It's a pillar. Brainsurge is redundancy for those effects. So you draw 4 cards and you put 2 cards back. So this is card advantage and can set up your really cool miracles. In the Entomb world, main deck Rest in Peace was a good idea. And Helm of Obedience as a combo with that to mill out your opponent for a single mana once you assemble both pieces was a theoretically good way to win. But now we live in a very different world. And when you are in a new metagame, you would like to be proactive as much as possible. So I think we gotta get them dead. I think we need some more threats. So I went searching, and I just made some social media posts. Hey, you Miracle sickos out there, what are my lists looking like in the post-ban metagame? What should I be doing? And I got a list from Ink Matte Nexus that I'm going to be trying out today. So here is our list, which is technically a 5-color Miracles list because we have Leyline Binding as well as a Xander's Lounge to fulfill the requirements of making a Leyline Binding cost 1 mana. But this is our Up the Beanstalk Miracle Control deck list featuring Brainsurge. Now, to maximize Brainsurge, we are going in on the cards with Miracle. We have 4 copies of Triumph of Saint Katherine, 3 copies of Temporal Mastery for extra turns, and in the 75, we do have 2 copies of Terminus, although to make all the numbers work, it is 1 main and 1 side. We have answers to some things like Urza's Saga tokens, as well as other annoying triggers, an Atraxa, Athasa's Oracle, or whatever. And we just have a really solid suite of removal, with Swords, Leyline Binding, Terminus, and to a lesser extent, Dress Down being removal. So since we put 2 cards back with Brainsurge, sometimes we can do something like put a Triumph back, Miracle it into play, have a 5/5, and then the following turn get to take an extra turn on top of that. And in theory, we could even chain together some extra turns and go from something like 1 Murktide Regent to 3 combat steps with it and just present lethal instantly. I like doing this better than relying on just literal 2 cards as win conditions, because as soon as things like Disruptor Flute would start getting involved or tutorable Pithing Needles, it becomes physically hard to win the game if your only win condition is shut off. So now instead we have 6 actual factual win conditions here. And the sideboard is honestly just a bunch of good stuff. We are relatively light on red in that splash, but the Pyroblast is going to give us very clean answers to Tamiyo, which is going to be a huge thing in the coming months. Tamiyo is probably one of the defining cards of Legacy right now, with the One Ring being the other, and hopefully we're going to feel ready for them. If you need your brain surges because you haven't done that before in Legacy, please consider getting them from toamagic.com and using my promo code ThrabenU to save a little bit on your order. I am a very busy bee right now, but I've got a mono red commander deck like 3/4 of the way built that I'm going to be ordering from them soon. Is soon going to be 1 month? Is soon going to be 2 months? I don't know, but I'm going to order it, and I'm going to be happy with their customer service. All right, let's battle. My opening hand is okay here. I'm going to ponder for just about any relevant spell. I can adjust this hand later. Ooh, okay. So now we know we're playing against Eldrazi. Sometimes I end up losing a land. This red isn't all that important. So if I get wastelanded, let's lose this Valk rather than a Trop. Triumph, 2 down. Draw a Brainstorm right now. Draw a Brainstorm now, a Brainsurge next turn. I'm going to say this is fine. You can probably do that in either order. It probably doesn't matter. And if my opponent has something like a Chalice of the Void on turn 1, I will still have a 5/5 Fire from Hell, or rather from the heavens, that is ready to rumble. Yeah, there we go. That's expected. That's fine. We have Leyline Bindings for that later on. So now the thing that I do not want to see is Wasteland on my lands here. A Thought-Knot Seer is totally fine. You can take one of my cards. I will presumably lose the Brainsurge here. No, I lost a Brainstorm. Fascinating. Opponent might think that I just haven't answered it. Oh, okay. Opponent says, oops, clicked on the wrong one. Yeah, for real. Brainsurge and Brainstorm are very, very similar. All right, so we cast this. Bam and bam. Eldrazi does not want to see a 5/5 lifelinking flyer in play. They have an eventual answer to this. Okay, cool. We dodged that wasteland for a little while, which is great. There's a scary Magic the Gathering card. There's a less scary Magic the Gathering card, but, you know, it gets to come with a friend. I'll be at 18 when that stack clears. I get wastelanded off of the white mana, which honestly just makes sense. I will not reveal that. We'll come back to you in a minute. That wasteland was so important, holy shit. So if I attack for 5, I get cracked back for 8. But if I attack for 5, I always gain this life, and I'm chunking my opponent's life down. I think I just send it. It's awkward if Eldrazi Linebreaker were to come down. There's an Eldrazi Temple. That Eldrazi Temple means that my thing can get exiled, so I guess I am glad that I guaranteed my life while I could. And now I think we are in Daddy Wants a Terminus mode. I'll be at 21. Opponent will send in for 8. 13. Now, what Surveil lands do I have in here? Because that's relevant. What? Am I crazy? No Surveil land. Wild. I wasn't expecting that. Okay. I guess I'm getting a Tundra. And I had this whole thing set up where I was going to, like, do cool things with Alorian Revealed trigger and all that. That's not happening right now. I get another Tundra. And then I'm going to top deck a Terminus right here. Dang. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, plus 6, 14. I'm dead. Chalice was fine. This wasteland making it so I don't get that second Triumph into play was game winning. I can maybe just Brainsurge my way out of this later on. All right, we have a 1-mana counterspell for most of my opponent's stuff. I'm into that. I think I am into Terminus to sweep up all of my opponent's nonsense. I will have 4 Leyline Binding plus Force of Will plus Consign to deal with my opponent's creatures. Or sorry, my opponent's Chalice of the Void. I don't know that I need this stuff necessarily. Dress Downs have some cool abilities versus things like Thought-Knot Seers. I'm not sure how important this actually is. It feels like I just need to get out of the early game, and then this stuff will carry. This helps a lot getting me out of the early game. I can probably go down on, like, the Temporal Mastery. Let's try this configuration. This is a single land. I don't think I like that. Okay, this is technically 2 lands. Let's hope that we can make this work. Not very good at fueling my graveyard right now. I'm going to go ahead and just get rid of Murktide Regent, I think. Oh, I'm so afraid of Wasteland. Hopefully they don't have it. That is just an Ancient Tomb and passing the turn. Kind of a pretty Ancient Tomb. I imagine that's like Edge of Eternities or whatever. Do I just do the... I need an untapped land. I need blue mana. Get a Tundra. Cool. That'll secure other colors next turn. We beans. Take the redraw. The next turn I can Lorien Revealed 4. Okay, well, I imagine that is Rip to Leyline Binding. Yeah, that was fast. So there's his Xander's Lounge. Do I just beans? Do I need to brainstorm? It feels kind of like I should brainstorm and try to find removal for this. I don't want to get run over. Oh, very much did not find removal. All right, Lorien Revealed can go back. A Tundra can go back. I will fetch. I think I'm just going to grab another Tundra. I have Xander's Lounge to play if I hit a Leyline Binding. I can do Trop so I don't get cut off of any color, though. Okay. And we beans. Found a Lorien Revealed again, which is not what I want right now. I want a Leyline Binding, I want a Terminus, I want a Swords to Plowshares. A Triumph as well. Oh no, don't do that. Don't do that. That's the Eldrazi Line Breaker. So I am taking a lot of damage here. And I spun the gears looking for removal last turn and just totally whiffed on it. I am at 10, and this is potentially just going to be lethal next turn. Help me, Brainstorm. I have no way to draw another card right now. So I can set these up on top and then not do anything with them. That is devastating. Was I supposed to do this on my opponent's turn in case my top card is a miracle? Maybe that was a mistake on my end. Alright. So if my opponent does anything, I'm down. And note the cycling here to draw a miracle is not gonna do it, at least not right now. So I'll pass the turn, but all it takes is just a tiny, tiny bit more. And my opponent has 5 cards. So don't love that. That's 4 mana, which is really going to be 6 mana. That Kozilek's command will be more than lethal with Eldrazi Linebreaker. We just died. We did not see any removal by turn 4, despite 2 Brainstorms and 2 Up the Beanstalk redraws. And that's just how it is sometimes. GG. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com. If you're looking to store your decks online, you're not going to find a better website. It's super organized and easy to use, and I sort everything that I do into a ton of format-specific folders, and you can customize the way that you use Moxfield to your liking. Whether you like text views or visual views of multiple different natures, Moxfield has it all. And it's so easy to use, you might even say that it's a snap. All right, we are playing against a Yorion deck of some kind. My hand's kind of a clunker. I have 2 Miracles, no Brainstorm, no Brainsurge. I have 3 land drops, kind of. I think I'm gonna keep. If memory serves, my opponent plays really slow Dirtle Piles, so I'm not going to get punished by this really bad start. And most draws improve this hand significantly. The blue fetch land and passing the turn is fine. I will go ahead and pass right back. We've got an end of turn surveil land, bad lands. Okay, so we're going to be doing, oh geez, what's it called? Bloodbraid Marauder nonsense. Sure. I don't like seeing Wasteland here, and that is what my opponent picks. I'm going to go ahead and island cycle this. I don't want to get Wastelanded off of white given this hand, so I'm going to get a Tundra despite the fact that I don't have green mana yet. I'll just throw down another land drop and pass the turn. So there's the Wasteland. I imagine that I just lose a Tundra immediately. Only makes sense to take out Mystic Sanctuary for any reason. Doing a second main phase cycle of an Architects of Will. Alright, and here we go. So we are cascading into a Living End, which is going to resolve. And then my opponent gets these back. And we've got some small creatures in play. The top of my library is in a very suboptimal order in some capacity. Going to go ahead and just remove one of these. Opponent gives me a Force of Will that I don't particularly want. I will probably end up fetching just so my opponent doesn't know what I'm drawing. Another Malevolent Rumble. I don't remember Dredger's Insight. There are 1 or more artifacts or creatures. Leave your graveyard, gain a life. When it enters, mill 4 and get a card. Okay, got it. That is what my opponent took. In respect of my life total, we will keep sending in removal spells at these creatures. 17. And then there's the Dredger's Insight. What is that? Incubation Incongruity. Sure. An Overlord of the Baelmerk to hand. Got it. Really wish I had Surveil lands. My opponent has Wasteland. I think I just need green mana in case I draw up the Beanstalk. That is a Misty. Draws are not great here. I think that Misty probably represents a second white pip for hard casting a Terminus later on. 13. 4 mana over there. There's the Overlord. Don't have 5 mana or a blue card. I'm going to have to worry about that too. So Dredger's Insight triggers. This goes down. I don't think I'm going to pull the Xander's Lounge out of deck here. Am I just playing a 5/5 with Force of Will backup? Seems fine. Maybe not full on good, but seems fine. I can try to set this up differently with Brainsurge, but I can't wait around forever. My opponent has an Overlord. My opponent has a Yorion that will eventually flicker a bunch of stuff. Yeah, I didn't want to see that. I think I just protect this card. I am already at 11. My opponent is at 27. There's some cycling for a Taiga, and that is Whale of the Forgotten. So they're returning the Bloodbraid Marauder and making me discard this Terminus. That's pretty annoying. Now they can just Living End again. Yeah. So they Living End. Or anything just crazy here? Yeah. There's a lot of kind of crazy things in here. There's a lot of stuff that is meant to take advantage of Living End. I just kind of die if I don't hit Terminus. I don't suspect that this does anything, given circumstances. I guess I needed to cast that on my opponent's turn in case my top card was Terminus. Got to get into that habit. I'm going to put these back into the deck. I think look for Brainstorm into Triumph. Okay. Yep, there we go. Oh no, I'm a mana short of Brainstorm into Triumph. That won't do it. So I needed to shuffle, hit a Brainstorm randomly, and then hit a Terminus as the card below. Alright. I could have played that last turn a little tighter. GG. Alright, Containment Priest is very good. Terminus is fine. I don't know that we Surgical, despite the fact that my opponent is doing graveyard-oriented stuff. Like, taking out one of the Cyclers just means that the rest come into play. Consigning the Bloodbraid Marauder trigger is kind of a big deal, though. I'm into that. Dress Down is not overly exciting. The thing that... I mean, it does stuff. I don't know that it's exciting. I imagine in most matchups I end up just doing this in post-sideboard configurations. Then, I don't know, trim a Brainsurge. My hand has lands and spells. It doesn't really feel good. I don't know that this hand does anything. Last time I kept something that would eventually become good but was not immediately good and kind of regretted it. Misty getting a basic? No. I'm going to keep this. I'm keeping the 3 lands, I'm keeping the beans. I think I'm going to say no to Force of Will. Just go land pass. Is probably going to be a tropical island. If I had a green source already in hand, it could be Xander's Lounge to accelerate me towards casting Leyline Binding faster. There's a Brainstorm. Totally fine Magic the Gathering card. Let's pair Trop with basic planes and get the beans going. Alright. Opponent has their own second land drop and a Malevolent Rumble, picking up a Wasteland. Sure thing. There's Xander's Lounge. I don't have anything I super want to remove right now. Let's see if we can just smooth this out a bit. Maybe find something else to do this turn. No. But we're going to have some cards to draw through, basically. There's a Xander's Lounge. Maybe I can make my opponent take that rather than a Trop. I care about the Trop. Alright, I succeed. We're not quite to cast Murktide, draw another card with Beanstalk yet. That's just some simple cycling, which is fine. Life from the Loam Wasteland is really annoying. If I Force of Will, I have 4 cards in graveyard, 7 total mana, and can put a Murktide Regent into play to start trying to clock my opponent before I just get Wastelanded into Oblivion. So I will do this despite the fact that I am unhappy about it. So there's basic, And there's Murktide drawing another card. Oh my god, it's so much land. Opponent is not dredging life from the loam. Let's see if they just get red and nuke my Murktide while producing a couple of creatures. That is what's happening, unfortunately. I just have all this fluff. So the good news is it's just Architects of Will and Bloodbraid Marauder. But the bad news is, like, I was kind of all in on that Murktide Regent. The rest of my cards just aren't good, and I'm... Oh, another Murktide. Sure. Let's do this. Just trying to fill up that graveyard. I'll get another color here. This lets Leyline Binding just be 2 mana. Draws me a card with Up the Beanstalk. It's another land. Ah! And now I have 3 lands. In good news, I won't be wastelanded off of my primary colors if my opponent dredges life from the loam. In bad news, I just have nothing going on. And there's no instants and sorceries in my graveyard for this Murktide Regent. I might just be playing it as a 4 mana, draw a card, cycling creature. Which is really, really, really not where I want to be. New Malevolent Rumble. There's some goodies there. Opponent is taking Grist, which is unfortunately removal for this Murktide. Everything is just lining up poorly. Well, we'll cast this when it's a draw 2, I guess. So, green mana, 4 beans. Draw my card. Okay. That's a dredging of life from the loam. It's very hard for Lorien Revealed to actually be a draw 5. Like, I will just get wastelanded every turn for the rest of the game. You've got it. So I think I'm just going to end up cycling this to put a land in the graveyard for Murktide Regent, or a sorcery in the graveyard for Murktide Regent purposes. Down to 11. And it has 7 cards in hand. Does not feel good. We'll take a trop. We'll take a trop. Force of Will is interesting. So 1, 1, always that. I think I'm going to leave a white up. Nah, fuck it. My graveyard matters for future Murktide Regents. Unless I only have 2 Murktide Regents? I only have 2 Murktide Regents. JK. In that case, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1. This is at least drawing me 2 cards. Hopefully this allows me to catch up. Alright, Leyline Binding is another removal spell. We might end up using it here. That is a Leyline Binding. My own one costs 3 right now. Okay, you've got it. I don't have Counterspell for a Grist. My opponent doesn't have black to cast a Grist. I'm still just getting beaten to death by Architects of Will. They'll bring me to 8. I'll lose Volcanic Island here, I imagine. Yep, that's a Yorion to hand. Sure. I can Leyline Binding a Leyline Binding to get Murktide Regent back. I can Leyline Binding this. I'm gonna just make a land drop and pass the turn for now. No dredge on life from the loam. That's black mana for a Grist, which I think I just let resolve and then Leyline Binding it after my opponent gets a 1/1, and then assume that I answer this some other way. Yeah. I think I'll go ahead and do this right now. For 3 mana. New Leyline Binding. More land. I'll just take out the Grist and take the 3. I could get rid of this now and then get rid of this on my own turn. Sure. Alright, what if we drew a Miracle? You gotta ask. What all is in exile here? Okay, so my Xander's Lounge is in exile already. My Volk is in graveyard. I think that means these ley lines just cost 3. Yes, it does. Okay, I mean, I guess let's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Fine, still though. I'll do this. Trigger. Take out the Grist. Want to brainstorm now? I don't think so. Just pass the turn with 7 cards. So that's a dredge. My opponent goes for the life from the loam on triple wasteland. I probably just need to counter it. Just protect the lands that I do have, even though I have more. Just giving my opponent. I feel like this deck is so much fluff. It is a Whale of the Forgotten, attempting to return a Leyline Binding to my hand. I will discard a fetch land that probably does not actually have targets. Risk and plus, that's fine. And a land drop, sure. I think I'm just going to brainstorm here to make a plan for what I am going to do. None of those are miracles. Where's my triumphs at? Let's put the tundras in my deck so they become fetchable. I'll fetch to clear, get a tundra, and I don't think I need to consign anything right now. Just because I think my hand is going to get full again, I'm just going to do this and call it good. Or did hit another land. Leyline Binding, this is 3. Let's get that out of the way. That is a Force of Will. I guess I force back. That just refuels me so quickly. Going to draw 4 cards when this stack clears. Opponent can surveil, that's totally fine. 1, 2. Now we're finding the miracles. 3, 4, nice. Binding, target grist. Not very many of these are blue, but hopefully that's fine. Land drop, 7 in hand, pass turn. That's a wasteland. Sure. 1/1 swings in. I'll respond. Successfully block. Overlord returns a ton of stuff. I could just consign this trigger and keep my Force of Will. I think I just force because it draws a card. So do that. Got triggers here. I think with that on the stack, I fetch Mystic Sanctuary and go ahead and return another Force of Will. Maybe Brainstorm is better there. Alright, Force of Will and Swords. That's another Overlord, unfortunately. So that one does happen. Returning Halo Forager. So I will have the ability to counter that. Overlord ticks down. Sure. I guess if I miss on a blue card, I don't get to do this. Alright, there's a blue card. There's a land drop. Go to punchies. Send in for 2. I don't remember if I have a green source in my deck or not. It's faster to just do this at this point. Alright, so I do not. Then I'll pass the turn here. I'm near-ish to decking as well. Mistrise Village is really annoying here too. I think unfortunately I have to let that resolve. Otherwise my opponent gets to just cast Halo Forager immediately. This way at least I buy another turn. Yeah. 6 down. Alright. I'm going to send in for 7. Opponent's at 9. I now know that my counterspell isn't exactly amazing. I think I'm now looking for like a consign or something. A Brainsurge. That do anything? Lets me put a Terminus on top of my deck. I'll take Brainsurge. Bam. 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 No shuffle. Pass turn. There's the Mistrise Village. So I guess I counter the Halo Forager, since my opponent did not make it uncounterable. Force, pitching the Brainsurge. So I'm going to do one of these draws, reveal this, cast this, triggers, and I want to fetch here, because I do not want the next card. And my opponent has conceded. This is just dreadfully slow magic. Do I need the Temporal Masteries? Do I just need more turns? Do I have too many consigns? Do I just want like 2? Get like a Temporal Mastery back in there? It feels like I just have a pile of situational cards that if they don't line up well versus what my opponent is doing, it's just bad. And my opponent has 1-for-1 removal spells like Leyline Binding that just trade with my threats after I resolve them. I think it's pretty likely that one of us times out before this game is over. My hand's got an up the beanstalk. This is fine. And we are absolutely going to be doing F6 turns where I don't have possible interaction. The timing's tight here. We will ponder. Force of Will is fine. Bam, bam, bam. I'd prefer to play the Force of Will after up the beanstalk. Now, unfortunately, I do have to not F6 my opponent's turn while I have this Force of Will in hand. Imagine that's just a cycle or a trop. Sure. Yeah, and I would like to use this Force of Will a little bit later. Opponent gets a Marauder. I draw Murktide, I fetch Trop, throw down Beans, get my redraw. Okay, cool. How about with these Wastelands? They are annoying. Yeah. So that's 4 card types in there. So this is going to cascade into the living end. I will just force a will that. I'm not going to give my opponent the Overlord here. And I do just draw a card with Up the Beanstalk. I'm going to always yield to that and hope I don't regret it later. All right, fantastic. Leyline Binding. This is 5 in Graveyard. We're going to fetch a Tundra here and just slap down a Murktide Regent. And there's another Murktide Regent for the future. We'll take it. I am currently attempting to be the beatdown. We'll see how that goes. Fucking stop. I don't like it. My turn. I hit another land drop. We're going in for punchies, and that just will be my turn. I don't have a lot going on right now. Hopefully I get 2 Force of Will on my opponent's turn, and then draw a card and smooth this out a little bit. I will take 3, and I'm just drawing. I just want land. If I have to force, I'm not sure which one of these I do. I think I force pitching the Murktide Regent and keep the other force. Exile target creature, make a frog. Sure. That's still a threat. That's fine. I'll pass here. I'm just gonna take that out of play. Do green-white here. It represents 2 colors towards Leyline Binding. Take that out. I'll force that. I think pitching the Murktide, keeping the force by the same logic as a minute ago. Cool. I need land. Alright, I found land. The Leyline Binding is now good to go. I have Leyline Bindings and forces. This is a-okay. And I can also make the Leyline Bindings just cost 1 mana. So if I need to take out something like this, I can. You may cycle. I think I'm just going to get my end of turn Xander's Lounge in respect of the future. And Endurance, you can have that. You can nuke my graveyard. I'll draw a card. I will answer this creature for a single mana while drawing a card. There's a Brainstorm for this Triumph. Seems reasonable. Like opponent's just passing the turn. I Brainstorm. Force of Vigor. No. There's a Force of Will. Yeah, I'll reveal Triumph of Saint Katherine. So then I will fetch, have a white source that allows me to cast this Triumph of Saint Katherine, which draws me another Triumph of Saint Katherine. Then the Brainstorm goes through. I will put 2 Triumph of Saint Katherines on top of my deck. We'll go to my turn. It is a miracle. Oh my gosh. Check it out. It is Triumph of Saint Katherine. I will cast... Oh, shit. Triumph of Saint Katherine. Hey, there we go. Drew another Triumph of Saint Katherine. Go to punchies. Punchies for 8 of my opponent's 11 life points. There's some cycling. There's a Mistrise Village. And there is the concession. Well, we didn't time out. That's the good news. Ugh. GG. Opponent says, hello, YouTube. I've got an opening hand with lands and spells. I've got a Brainstorm to maybe set up a Triumph of Saint Katherine. I'm going to be kind of weak against Wasteland, but I think that is just going to be a deck weakness here as a Leyline Binding deck. Windswept Heath. Tundra and Tamiyo. I currently cannot answer a Tamiyo. I think I just have to Force of Will. Tamiyo is an insane Magic the Gathering card. So I will force and pitch a Ponder here. It says something that as the deck that just has a shit ton of removal spells, that Tamiyo is so scary that I just need to Force of Will it on the stack rather than let it exist for a couple of turns and then find a Swords. It's just a very, very, very scary play pattern. I might be the aggro deck. Like, I might be the beatdown with this hand. I just Brainstorm, put Triumph 2 down, intend on casting Triumph, and then a Murktide Regent shortly thereafter, saying, hey, deal with this. Alright, so you go 2 down. I'll just redraw you immediately. Throw that Savannah into play, pass the turn. Opponent has their own 3rd land drop. I wonder what exactly we are playing against. Statistically speaking, probably not a Miracles Mirror. My opponent might be doing some Damped Stoneblade? Well, I mean, no. This is us forcing the Tamiyo the second time. An opponent says no back. It's Plagon. Fuck. We lose. Blue decks just don't fucking beat this card. It's impossible. This is so many cards. Tamiyo's big. So I'll go to my own turn. I will Miracle the Triumph. And this technically blocks that Tamiyo, right? Nothing bad is going to happen to my Triumph of Saint Katherine. No 1-mana white removal spells. I've already used 2 Force of Wills, so pretty unlikely to brainstorm into another. Tamiyo investigates. I don't fly? Really thought this flew. I really thought this was an angel. Yeah. Plagon's so good. Also triggering Tamiyo here. Tamiyo pluses. Opponent ponders. I think I just go to my turn. I will now brainstorm, though. I will put back you and you. We're going to punchies. I will punchies at Tamiyo for 4. I didn't find the immediate removal spell for the Plagon to just finish off Tamiyo now, so I imagine that my opponent just chump blocks here, and then I'm going to just play Murktide Regent and say deal with it. And my opponent who controls Tamiyo will probably deal with it, unfortunately. We'll do a Trop and a Tundra. The thing that just sucks here is that if my opponent has a Swords to Plowshares, they go Swords, Tamiyo minus Swords, and my game is over. If they don't have it, awesome. Life is good. I'm in a dominant position if they don't have a Swords. There's 4 looks at 1. Yeah. So there we go. This is kind of the toxic Tamiyo play pattern where we forced it a second time, lost the fight, and now the game is over. About the only thing I could have done differently is brainstormed a second time on my own turn, looking for Swords for Plagon. Cryptic Coat there as well. Yeah. Brainsurge is card advantage. Moving this Toneforge doesn't even matter all that much. I gotta find something that answers this. So I think I go bam bam. Fetch. I'm not gonna cast anything after this. Let's just get the Xander's Lounge into play. And I'm just gonna resolve this before my opponent has a chance to draw more cards. 4 cards in graveyard, 2 for Beans, 3 for Murktide. Okay. We will continue to play Magic. But life's bad. Tamiyo plus is up. There's another Plagon. Again, decks that look like mine don't beat Plagon decks. It's just so much value. My opponent now has like Plagon Caracas as well. I'll take 1. Go to a pretty low life total of 28. So there's Beans. Take that redraw. I guess I can ponder and make this Murktide slightly bigger, but like, you know, Temporal Mastery is weird. I don't think this is a good set of cards right now. I think I have to pass the turn in Swords Plagon when my opponent goes to bounce it with Caracas. Oh. Fuck. I'm so dead. Like, I answer one of these 2. The other is devastating. Tamiyo is still going. I'm just going to give up. I'm not going to beat what my opponent is bringing to the table here. How do I even try to win this? Because there's some things that I just cannot let resolve. Like, I cannot let a Plagon resolve, or it's so many cards. I guess Pyroblast? If I cut my Force of Wills, I'm down so many things that trigger up the Beanstalk, and I desperately need my card advantage. I need to answer things when they're in play. I can try to consign some triggers from my opponent's deck. It kind of feels like I desperately need the extra turns with Triumph or Murktide Regent once I have some degree of control on the game. I'm going to try to cut some Lorien Reveals to make room for Pyroblasts. I'm going to go down a Force of Will or 2 and bring in Pyroblasts. I'm going to get a consign. I do not feel confident in my ability to win this matchup. Just fully based on just my cards versus their cards. I think they always, not literally always, but the vast majority of the time, I think they outvalue what I am doing. Let's turn Ponder into a different card. Leyline Binding is kind of cool. I think I'm going to take Leyline Binding and another land and leave a Terminus 2 down with the intention that that is just going back into the deck. Ponder is not Tamiyo. A very fast Ponder. So first, I'm going to get my Up the Beanstalk going. Probably do this off of Savannah. And potentially get Volk later if I don't have time to set up Xander's Lounge. Alright. The Pyroblasts are going to be real good here. It's just making second land drop and passing. Means that I potentially have to deal with Felia. Leyline Binding does that. Sure. So, dog. And just before my opponent untaps and has more cards, I'm totally fine just doing this. Itching a Plagon. This is an okay time to brainstorm. I don't have too many Force of Wills, and I would need to hit Force of Will plus blue card, but this can set me up for next turn. So I will bury a land and put Temporal Mastery on top. Oh, fuck. God. My Beanstalk trigger. Fucked that up. Temporal Mastery needed to go 2 down there. Yep. No, this is awful. These white creatures don't eat it to my Pyroblasts. Opponent gets Cryptic Coat now. Presumably pre-war Formal Wear after Stoneforge gets blinked. 17. We'll see what the second Stoneforge trigger is. Oh shit, it's Caldra. Okay. So I guess now I try to get deeper in my deck and find an answer to Stoneforge. Okay, I do. There's so much land. I think I just put back land, and awkwardly keep Temporal Mastery in hand. It's just more land than I can ever use. So, fetch. Or do I not remove Stoneforge and remove Caldra? Then my opponent just does Cryptic Coat nonsense. Let's just remove the Stoneforge. Felia being able to blink out and recycle Stoneforge triggers from under this Leyline Binding is also really annoying. Prevail land is fine. Let's land drop 4 for my opponent. Gross things can come down for Felia now. Like we can see Plagon, draw cards, Felia, blink, Plagon, draw more cards. Cryptic Coat is good. My opponent can just blink that. This is at least pyroblastable, but it leaves 2 bodies behind. 8 power. Does not feel good trying to be the control deck here. I'm at 13. And Cloak comes back down. Sorry, Coat comes back down. Well, here we go. Beanstalk trigger. Or land. Take out Felia. Ponder. I'm not casting anything expensive. I'm into these cards. I'm drawing the Trop right now, probably. Yeah, let's go bam, bam, bam. Draw the Trop. Put a red land into play. Pyroblast the Cryptic Coat while my opponent does not have mana to bounce it. And I'm going to just take damage from these 2/2s who do have Ward. That is super relevant. But we might reach a very weird stage of the game where I am casting Time Walk for 7 mana. That I let happen. I counter things that look like Tamios and Nadus. The Up the Beanstalks forcing extra draws are really weird with the Brainstorms and Brainsurges, so you don't get to miracle things twice in a row. You miracle one, and then you trigger draw the other. So, miracle, reveal, asked for 2. This draws me that Temporal Mastery. I'm going to go ahead and put a Flooded Strand into play so that I can potentially fetch and put a Pyroblast back on top of my library as a redraw. That's devastating. That doesn't get countered by Pyroblast. You've got it. Now these Temporal Masteries are just a lot worse. I did gain 5 life, so that is a turn worth of time. Down to 10. I think I'm going to fetch Mystic Sanctuary, pick up Brainstorm here with the intention of putting these back on top. I could just hardcast a Temporal Mastery here. I don't think I'm going to do that. I think I'm just going to do this on my own turn. Put back Mastery, Mastery, make land drop, pass turn, and I can draw a card one way or another on my opponent's turn to trigger one of these Temporal Masteries. Oseju the Leyline Binding that is on Stoneforge Mystic. I can stop the Stoneforge from triggering with Dress Down, and then draw a Temporal Mastery, which I guess is fine. As soon as this blue card is out of my hand, like, this is not live for a short period of time. And then I draw the Temporal Mastery, and it is live again. So now, this is gonna shuffle. I think I'm okay shuffling anyway. Let's just get the basic and leave the Tundra in there. Tundra is fetched by more things. Really need some sort of Terminus style card. I think I'm just gonna take this. Go to 5. I think I just counter that as cycling. No, I don't think I can do that. End of turn. I'm going to Swords the Stoneforge so that my opponent can't slip really annoying equipment into play, and hope to clear this out or otherwise stabilize the board. I can take an extra turn if I need to, but hopefully I just find like a 1-mana blue cantrip or something. Negative. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I can have some bonus mana available here. Temporal Mastery for an extra turn. Did not leave open green. Leaving open red, white. I could have done that better. There's a Leyline Binding. So green and 1. There's beans. Draw. Yes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That leaves 3 mana available. So I can Leyline Binding and Triumph here. So start here. Trigger. Take out the Delighted Halfling that makes things uncounterable. Make land drop. 1, 2, 3. Need to leave open red and white. 4 and 5. Trigger. All right. I'm at 5 life with a 5/5 lifelinker in play. I need this card. I don't really want to give up the Force of Will, but I just really need to stabilize the board right now, and I can still Swords Ophelia. Fuck! Yeah. Good news is I gain a little life there. Bad news is I don't quite have enough mana to Brainsurge. This is Ward 2, so Swords is not effective right now. Permanents are jumping around like crazy. I'm going to counter that. I think I just don't want my opponent to have a good chance at a relevant play this turn. Nice. And that's the upside of playing these cards. So sometimes that just gets to happen. Oh, okay. That was enough for my opponent. That was sweaty. Now I have to do it when I'm on the draw. Another Terminus, maybe? Wrath of the Skies for the tokens, too? Wrath of the Skies sweeps my up the beanstalks, but can be a way to take care of smaller equipment. It misses Planeswalker Tameo. It seems like Triumph backed by Force of Will long-term is pretty darn good. Maybe I give up on this. That gets me the Terminus. I could go down on Temporal Mastery, play some Lorien Revealed again as just a draw 3 to 5 cards as these games go very, very long, which it looks like they are. Could also just be more Force of Wills. Let's do more Force of Wills. This is so stressful. Believe. This is very close to having the long-term setup that I need to be successful. I need a green mana source, so this Ponder is shuffling damn near anything that is not a green mana source or fetch land to get one. Okay, there is at least a second land drop. That's a start. Please find a fetch land. None of those are fetch lands. We'll shuffle. Never didn't have it. I wasn't worried for a minute. So I expect turns 2, 3, and 4 are going to feel bad. And if the game isn't effectively over by then, I will probably start to pull back. I think I just dress down at my opponent's end step so Tameo can't attack for a clue, and then do up the beanstalk the next turn. Let's grab a drop, and then dress down. Brainstorm in response. Now it's a Planeswalker. Fuck you. Told ya. I think I am supposed to do it on end step, not in their upkeep, by the way, because if I let them do this in their upkeep, they can brainstorm and then fetch, whereas if they have the brainstorm now, it is just a brainstorm that leaves the cards on top of library. And I'm just going to F6. I think it is very clear that I don't have counter magic. Cameo to 4. And a Ponder. Fetch land as a follow-up. And this goes away. So now I can try to set up for a long game with Up the Beanstalk, or I can just play a Murktide Regent. It's so bad if my opponent just has a Swords and I only play Murktide Regent here. Brainsurge. Let's Beans. That's a Force of Will. Yep. I'm going to play this with the intention of fetching a Xander's Lounge out. I would like to Leyline Binding a Tameo in the medium term here. Oh, opponent getting Force of Will back. Sure. That means it takes longer for Tamio to outright kill me. That's the good news. The bad news is, like, my opponent now has Tamio backed by Force of Will. I don't think I'm going to be in a situation to play double Murktide Regent. It's so hard to navigate this here. Raucous, sure, and Stoneforge. I think I'm going to let that trigger resolve. This can get a Cryptic Coat, which is a blue card for Force of Will, but I'm going to give my opponent an opportunity to protect Stoneforge Mystic from this Swords to Plowshares I'm going to cast, when this Swords to Plowshares doesn't actually matter at all. And I expect that my opponent will recognize that, but if they have something like Cauldron in their hand, like, that could be different. Yep. Wish I had another green. I think the way this goes is play Beanstalk, it gets Force of Willed. Yep. I cast a Murktide Regent. We're not going to make this Murktide Regent too big. I'm going to leave one instant in there. As a 4-power creature, that's enough to theoretically kill Tamio next turn. Ridiculous Archive is in. Blighted Halfling is out. Tamio plus. There's another Stoneforge Mystic. Life is tough. Now Cauldra is being threatened. Force is okay. In case something happens in combat, I'm going to go ahead and do my beans now. At least attempt to. Cool. Combat. Send in at Tamio. One problem down. Now there's another problem called Cauldra Complete, and it is coming for my lunch money. Hopefully I fuel a Murktide Regent in the not too distant future. Prismatic Ending. I just need new cards, and I need to fuel my graveyard here. Where did I fall on Temporal Masteries? There's one in the deck. Alright. Cauldra has arrived. Cryptic Code is gone. Cryptic Code is not gone. I'll take 5. I'm at 12. Sanders Lounge is not what I'm looking for. Let's look for some white removal here with a Brainsurge. Did find it. I will put Temporal Mastery 2 down, Misty on top, play Xander's Lounge, Punchies. So this is going to be a Surveil land, presumably. A Hedge Maze. Nope, it's a Trop. Okay. I think before my opponent, it doesn't matter. Let's just do this. Take Cauldra out of here. There'll still be a Cryptic Coat that is problematic in the medium term, but hopefully I just Murktide Regent my way through my opponent's 12 life. This is awkward. Fucking Temporal Mastery. I think I would like an extra turn. So draw, reveal Temporal Mastery, yeah and yeah for the extra turn. Draw the card with Beanstalk. Leyline Binding is cool. Land drop. Let's fetch to just get one more card into graveyard here. Grab a Trop. Oh, I guess I don't want to tap that one. So bam, bam, Swords, Force, Brainsurge. And since I'm taking an extra turn anyway, this is probably fine to go ahead and do. Draw that other card. This is a 6/6 that gets to attack for half of my opponent's life total immediately. And I've got Force of Will backup. I think I'm now good. Send in for 6. Opponent goes 2/6. Cast Ponder. There's a Triumph that I can Brainstorm into. Seems fine. Do that. Pass turn. My opponent puts in Cryptic Coat. Is 2 to return. So I think I just Force of Will that to put Triumph in immediately. And then feels like we're done here. Yeah. We have gotten the GGs. That did not feel good, friends. Like, scoreboard, we got it. But man, that felt tough. Opening hand has 0 mana. That is not gonna do it for me. Tapped Mystic Sanctuary with this batch of cards is sketchy. I don't think that hand does anything before it just dies. Okay, this has a Up the Beanstalk and Murktide Regent. This'll work out. Then the next question becomes, can I get basic island on turn 1? I don't know that I can. Let's just go ahead and ponder. I want to start filling the graveyard immediately for Murktide. These brain surges are too expensive right now. I think I just shuffle that. I wouldn't mind finding more lands or direct interaction that does not cost me mana. Fuck. Yeah. Not having a surveil land to try to secure the next land drop after that is pretty brutal. Underground Sea into Thoughtseize. That is pretty bad for me. I think my Up the Beanstalk is my best card. We'll see what my opponent thinks. They are going for a Swords instead. Well, I hit a land drop. We'll take that. So we can Savannah, Island Cycle, Xander's Lounge, play Xander's Lounge. There's Domain if I don't get Wastelanded again. Ah. Alright. We are reanimating over there. It's much more bearable when my opponent actually probably has to play 6 to 8 creatures to enable this stuff. And now it's just like double Wasteland after my Mold of 5. And like that is what it is. Yep. Take a look at some extra cards in my opponent's deck here. Okay, so they're doing the same sort of thing that Reanimator was doing before, of being a hybrid tempo Reanimator deck. That is not surprising, but now there's more bad cards in the deck. I will probably just concede if I miss my land drop here. And I did miss my land drop. I know that a Thoughtseize is coming. Yep, we can tap out there. You've got this one. So I have Containment Priests and Surgicals for the graveyard-oriented stuff. I have Pyroblasts that I can use for Tamiyo. Let's get Dress Downs out of there. Those can become Containment Priests. Let's assume that 8 removal spells is enough. My Triumphs can get Thought Seized and then Reanimated, right? Yes, when it is put into the graveyard from the battlefield specifically. I don't get to skimp on Lorien Revealed here if my opponent is wastelanding me. That probably means that some of the cute top end just ends up going. These are great cards and a bunch of ETB tapped lands. I don't know that I get to throw back the hand that can Force of Will something unfair and Swords to Plowshare something fair at the same time. If one of these lands gets wastelanded, I do not want it to be Savannah. Alright, ETB tapped land out of the way. Did not randomly mise a large creature, so that's good for me. Let's get the other ETB tapped land out of the way. Land drop 2. Galaxy Voidwalker. I'll remove that for 1 mana. That's fine. That's not a Force of Will target. I will go ahead and Swords it immediately, though. And then pass. New Surveil land. I expect blue-black Reanimator decks will probably be playing 2 Undercity Sewers. Bowmasters. I just make a land drop and pass the turn, and play a Brainstorm in response to a Bowmasters at end of turn if my opponent is using their mana for that. Alright, they started to tap mana for it. I think they've got it. If we're just staring at each other, I think that is favorable to me. There's a Goyf. I'll Brainstorm in response to decide how much I care about that. I probably just find an answer to that with Ponder. Let's go bam, bam. I'll let that resolve. Go to the next turn, reveal that, and Miracle, white, and blue. And this, at least for right now, is fine against this as well. Like, I can block and just send this back into my deck. So I now know that I don't like the top card of my library. Grab a Tundra. I'll Ponder. Beans? Beans are fine. I'll fetch green right now for the beans, which could just get countered. Does get countered. I'm fine with that being countered. Brainstorm's fine. New Underground Sea. Yeah, I'm fine trading. Because eventually that thing outgrows my creature. So there's a Triumph in my top handful of cards somewhere. That's annoying. And my opponent maybe has Bowmaster, so like just tapping out for draw 3 is a little weird. I think I will go ahead and force that. Barrowgoyf is strong. Another Daze. Alright, that's in play as a 4/5. Nice. We'll cast Triumph. My Force of Will is not hard castable or pitch castable right now. That's devastating. Alright. That's not great for me. Opponent likes their card from the Surveil land. I think I'm okay with this thing connecting like once. I think it's when we get to the second connection that I am in trouble. There's 5 plus mill 5, which then turns on the reanimates and animate deads to be scarier. Alright, cool. This is fine. I'll do this on my opponent's turn. Or I guess if they... Okay, there was a Bowmasters. I could Force of Will trade evenly with that and let them hit me again with this. I think it's just better to remove this. Take a couple points of damage from the Bowmasters. 16. Wasteland is very, 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 very bad for me. I think that's the wrong land. I think you hit the Xander's Lounge there because it makes future leyline bindings more expensive. I can understand wanting to cut me off of white-white. I now want to dodge something like a Kaito. And I did. At least in combat. There's a Dalthy. Sure. This is where the Terminus style cards matter a lot. That doesn't line up well versus these cards, unfortunately. Yeah, and hitting Xander's Lounge also takes me off of Pyroblasts. Take 5 here. Down to 9. Just another land drop. That's not nothing. That can hop in front of a Bowmasters. So here's the next combat step. There's Containment Priest. There's the Petty Theft, which I'm going to counter. Xander's Lounge still being alive is clutch. Goodbye, Bowmasters. So now my redraws are live again without hurting me. This is still a pretty big problem, though. So there's Force of Will mana. I'm passing the turn here. I need an answer to Dalthy Voidwalker next turn, or I die. Sure. There's a land to clear. There's a Thoughtseize. You get it. You get my Force of Will. Alright, I am at 2. Need an answer to Dalthy. Here we go. Because this can get me into Ponders, I am going to do this on my own turn. There's a Ponder. Put back. Ponder. Nope. That card needs to be real good. It's real good. There's a 1 mana Leyline Binding. Take out Dalthy. I'm at 2. My opponent's average top deck is very good since Atraxa is in graveyard. I suspect there's not a third Surveil land. There's not. Alright, we're right back in that same spot where as soon as I miss, it's a disaster. So Yu-Gi-Oh! Art of the cards, here's my redraw. Please answer Murktide Regent. Hell yeah. Goodbye, Murktide Regent. You live to see another day. Now there's a Beanstalk in play. There's a chance. Okay, cool. Opponent missed. This is big. That's pretty good. We're going to hold that. I'm not going to use that and start like trying to go aggro here. I'm at 2. Okay, I get to answer that. Little Containment Priest is currently protecting me from this stuff. Let's hope it stays that way. I will just Murktide. I can cast Surgical with Xander's Lounge. Bam, bam, bam. No shuffle. Blue, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Draw a Surgical. With Murktide in play, I think I'm okay. Sending in for my 2 points of damage. Opponent fetches. I could consider doing something like surgically extracting Orcish Bowmasters. What the fuck is this? When it enters, draw 2 cards, discard a card. Okay. Wow, Barrowgoyf got discarded. Is it just 2 of them? It's Petty Theft. That'll hit me to 1. Okay. I'll go ahead and take 1. And I think I'm going to go ahead and surgically extract Orcish Bowmasters now that I am at exactly 1. Let's just use this black mana while I've got it. There's 3 Bowmasters total. Anything spicy left. 2 Kaitos left. This one's close enough that I should probably care and take a screenshot. Alright. So that's not a live card right now. So yeah. 1, 2. I've already used Mystic Sanctuary. 3, 4, 5. Draw my card. Yeah, I knew that was coming. There's a Triumph. That's real good in a minute if I live. I think that means that I play this as a land. Despite the fact that it is not currently online. Alright, we're chilling. I get to cast this Triumph. Ooh. That's good too. I think this is better. So there's my life linker. It's in play. I don't think I'm going to take an attack here. I'll attack next turn with Triumph, but I want to guarantee my life gain before I make another swing. Hot damn. That one was scary. GG. How many Barrowgoyfs was that? So 1 Barrowgoyf, 1 Douthie, 3 Bowmasters, 3 Animates, but not Animate Deads. Okay. The graveyard stuff is relatively light, and it is more dudes. I still probably play my Surgical and Containment Priest, but now I'm thinking about like Terminus and Wrath of the Skies. Terminus is something that can junk a Kaito sometimes. Maybe I just can't Brainsurge into Orcish Bowmasters, even if there's only 3 of them. This does mean that there's more clunkers in the deck. I think I just accept that. This is 1 land. Boy, do I have the graveyard covered. I think I'm going to keep this. It's definitely awkward. I don't want to Force of Will. Like, turn 1 Tamiyo is really, really, really good against his hand, because then I can't, like, set this up, which I would like to do. That's fine, though. That still probably takes my Brainstorm. I think it is very, very, very easily the best card in my hand. Opponent agrees. Alright, I love hitting that next land drop naturally. That's a really, really big deal. Your Brainstorm is fine. And then a Scalding Tarn. I don't think I am fetching for the sake of fetching right now. Don't mind that. That secures the next land drop. It is probably more important to do than just play out Containment Priest while I have 2 Surgical Extractions in hand. There's a very good chance I use 1 or more of these Surgical Extractions in a fair capacity. I'm going to grab you. And then I'm going to grab you. Actually, that should have been Savannah. Yeah, that should have been Savannah, so I can get 2 different white things while still having green. I was thinking about that, and then I just did it in the wrong order. Let's just secure white then. Deal with green mana later. Okay, cool. Land drop and pass. Fire bath. Die. Last. In Undercity Sewers. Alright, and we're just chilling. I think since we're just chilling, I'm not going to play out Containment Priest into Daze immediately. I'll just play it at some end of turn, or maybe just keep holding on to it. I think this game going on is favorable to me. No, absolutely not. Fuck, I wish I could counter back. I would counter and then surgically extract those, I think. Alright, hate that. So there's an Archon. Okay. Well, I can now resolve this. That's the good news. Bad news is kind of everything else about this situation. My Force of Will isn't live. My Surgicals aren't great. My Triumph's not great. Send in at Tamiyo. Tamiyo will return to 5 loyalty on their turn. Yeah, no, this is why I wanted to fucking Surgical Tamiyo. Uh-huh. None of my cards do anything. My opponent's just gonna run away with the game via Tamiyo. My Kingdom for a Brainstorm. That's Tamiyo to 7. And my opponent gets a Tamiyo clue here. That is a land drop. So Tamiyo just gets to ultimate. We're dead to that if my opponent does that. So hopefully they don't get to do that. There's 1 card remaining. Tamiyo gets poked to 6. Let's see if that... I want to see what that last card is. There's not a Daze in there that I can take out right now. If it's Force of Will, they would have to spike a blue card off of that. I think I just cast this. There is a game to be played after this Tamiyo is dealt with, and it's called Deal with This Tamiyo. Goldred's Edict. Getting rid of Containment Priest. That occurs. Now, Graveyard Friends are technically online, but I have double Surgical. Opponent did not crack that clue. Attempt to hit a Daze. Do it afterwards anyway, so they weren't saving it. Tamiyo pluses to 8. There's a Wasteland. I lose Volk, making Leyline Binding more expensive. Tamiyo does not attack. So that Tamiyo is just going to block, and then this is going to ultimate. And presumably I just lose to that. Send in at Tamiyo. Tamiyo block. Is there some combination of things that I can Surgical that allow me to win through this emblem? Force of Will is probably a big one. So there's 4 reanimates for the Atraxas, and there's 1 Sheoldred's Edict that kills my creatures. Archon of Cruelty is pretty bad for me as well. Those are all gone. I'm casting this Murktide Regent, taking out all my instants and sorceries. I think I'm going to surgically extract. I have to let this ability go on the stack before I cast Surgical Extraction. Otherwise, Tamiyo minus pick up Sheoldred's Edict is a thing. Sure. Hello, Tamiyo. Now this is going to end up transforming this one as well. Alright, I think I say no to Archon of Cruelty. That is a very, very strong removal spell. If I take that out, there's not another one. So my opponent has 18 cards, and there's presumably some amount of Barogoyfs, Reanimates, Atraxas, Sheoldred's Edict, Kaitos, Murktide Regents that are bad for me. I don't think I can win from this emblem. Okay, there is Sheoldred's Edict. I'm going to sack Triumph and I hope that it comes back, I suppose. Murktide Regent hits harder. They have their own Murktide Regent, and theirs is bigger than mine due to Tamiyo Plus. So let's try to find our way out of this. The Force of Wills aren't doing it at this point. I think I'm looking for single target removal. That's 3 mana. That's 3 mana. Alright, I suspect my opponent gets another turn here, and then I'm out of this. In good news, they exiled their copies of Sheoldred's Edict, so they can't just keep replaying it via Tamiyo. Savannah, too. Land Binding costs 4. I have 3 lands. There's the Dragonstorm. I imagine that results in an Atraxa going to the graveyard. No, it doesn't. Tamiyo gets back Thoughtseize. Alright, I think I'm just going to stop pretending that I'm in this game. We're at like hour 3 of recording. It's time to move on. GG. Alright, opening hand is nothing exciting here. I could maybe just not cast the Ponder. Really awkward if I get wastelanded. I might just cast this with the intention of using it to help hit land drops. Yeah, that's fine. Bam, bam, bam. Oh, we're doing this. What if you just cast Dark Ritual Dalthy Voidwalker? Huh? I wonder if they disconnected. They did not. Lotus Petal number 2. Absolutely not. We can't take a risk that there's a Spirit Guide there and just try to, like, Swords to Plowshares that. Alright, we get another turn. Suppose I am brainstorming now. Hit a Ponder. That is a pile of lands, though. It's not great. I can't Ponder into an active counterspell here. So I think I'm just going to hold up Swords to Plowshares on the off chance that that is relevant instead. Oh, great. I don't have more mana right now. Let's just increase colors for Leyline Binding for later. Okay, cool. That is island number 3. Flooded Strand will be island number 4 to get back another Force of Will in a minute. And the opponent is not doing anything right now. This means that I can actually cast spells. Ponder. Brainstorm is okay. I think I will just take that and fetch. Yeah. 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 No shuffle. Land drop. And I think I'll just pass. I think I'm going after payoff cards here. The mana will come eventually. Simeon Spirit Guide. Cabal Ritual first. Yeah. So you can have this, and then you can use your Spirit Guide, or presumably a Spy. I will go ahead and Force of Will that, pitching a Ponder. Excellent. Now, fetch, Mystic Sanctuary, get a Force of Will back. Yes. Draw that for turn. Pass turn. I don't think I'm going to cast the Brainstorm yet. I will just pass the turn here. Now I can hard cast a Force of Will. If my opponent doesn't do anything that requires my Force of Will, I will Brainstorm at their end of turn. That's just another land. I will Brainstorm. I will reveal Temporal Mastery. I think I go bam, bam, cast Temporal Mastery. So I will take an extra turn after this one. So on that extra turn, I will reveal Triumph of Saint Katherine and cast that. And I will go to my extra turn where I draw Temporal Mastery. And I'll go ahead and cast that. Then I'll go to Punchies. Punchies for 5. Then go to another turn, go to combat, punchies for 5, opponent's at 7, end of turn I'll brainstorm. Nice. What an absurd set of things to happen there. That was just 4 miracles in a row on top of my deck, resulting in my opponent going from 20 to dead over the course of one of their turns. They did like my first set of stuff in their end step and then took 2 extra turns, and then they had 1 more turn. So we've seen the deck clunk up a lot. That's what those Temporal Masteries are capable of doing. Like that, this is what we wanted to see the whole time. All right, priests in, surgical extractions in. We'll think about all of this stuff as well. The kind of shit thing here is Oops All Spells can have a ton of different sideboarding plans, ranging from Goblin Charbelchers to a pile of Dalthy Voidwalkers and Rotting Regisaurs and Barrowgoyfs and such. So I don't probably really get to board out removal. I probably get rid of stuff that's cute. Is Terminus too much work? Terminus might be too much work if I have 8, theoretically 1 mana removal spells and dress downs. Let's get rid of Terminus. Let's get rid of all of the Brainsurges. We'll kill our opponent when we kill our opponent. I think I want all of these in here. Could go down Lorien Revealed, could go down a win condition or 2 in the form of Triumph. Again, win eventually. I think I'll go down 1 Lorien Revealed, 1 Triumph. This has a Force of Will. Pyroblast? How did that happen? There's not a Pyroblast main. I just drugged something in I did not intend to drag. We'll say it's for Thassa's Oracle, right? With a Force of Will here, I think I just keep this one. Opponent going to 5 very quickly. Alright, tapped land. We love, love, love to see that. I guess Pyroblast technically does something if my opponent has Pact of Negations. So I guess it's not fully dead. Also hit a Narcomoeba in a pinch. Alright, we're chilling. I don't have another blue card for this Force of Will, so like setting this up is a little sketch. I think I'm just going to get deeper into my deck. Okay, cool. I will just land drop and pass. Battle is fine. Ball Ritual is fine. There's the Undercity Informer, so I will go ahead and Force of Will that. Pitching a Brainstorm. Oh, it just worked. Really not expecting that to just work. I'm thinking about whether or not I'm going to use Leyline Binding on a Lotus Petal here to just buy some time. My hand's pretty bad. It's very awkward to Leyline Binding if my opponent goes and plays like a Goblin Charbelcher. But we're just trying to buy any time here. That's a good pickup. I can't do it and Swords in the same turn. Alright, opponent has more mana, but not anything to do immediately. Get in there, Containment Priest. We're up to 4 of our 5 mana for Triumph, so tapping out for Triumph is a little scary. Yeah, this is what I was talking about. Never didn't have it. Send in for 2. 16. Leyline Binding, a Goblin Charbelcher. Cool. Now, I can just cast Triumph. It drops Pyroblast and Swords temporarily, but it turns this into a 2-turn clock. Mystic Sanctuary, not live right now. There's Triumph. 7, then 14. 2-turn clock. There's a Duress. And my opponent has conceded the game. That was a slog of a league, but we did come up positive in the end. Alright, let's go ahead and wrap this one up here. Overall thoughts on the deck list. This is not for me. This has a very good engine when it gets going. I messaged Force of Phil, who is a Miracles enthusiast and eternal dirtler, and he said that he feels like Brainsurge is a card that is soft banned while Orcish Bowmasters is popular. If Bowmasters is going to be, 30 to 40% of the field, it doesn't make a lot of sense to cast a draw 4 card into that. I feel like I want as many of my cards as possible to be good in the early game because of this like Tamiyo One Ring world that we live in. And a bunch of these cards require you to have like at least 3 land drops in play to really be effective. I love having a bunch of win conditions. I love the value that Up the Beanstalk represents. I don't know if this build of Miracles is better than just playing blue-white and or very close to blue-white and just having swords and prismatic ending in the early game, maybe having some things like back to basics and main deck force of negation. I don't know what your end game card advantage is if you do that, though. Maybe you do need to be Bant for Up the Beanstalk. Maybe we can be Bant with more basics. But overall, I think we dirtled a little too much today in terms of ending the game. I don't think Brainsurge had the best showing, and the thing that I most commonly did with it was just pitch it to Force of Will and just keep less expensive cards, despite the fact that Brainsurge did represent value. But Triumph was pretty good today. Thumbs up to Triumph. Slightly questionable about the rest of the deck. Certainly could have played tighter if I was not narrating my own plays. Like Miracles decks like this tend to be pretty intricate. And like I did a bunch of things where it's like, oh, okay, I'm gonna put this 2 down. Oh, I forgot about the Beanstalk draw that is still on the stack. Like mistakes that I would not make if I was paying full attention to the game. But you know, that is what it is. I don't know that I recommend Miracles, but this was a fun way to spend a long afternoon. And in terms of tournament logistics, if you have a serious tournament, I don't know that I want to be the person trying to grind out every round with something that looks like this. Draws are very, very real in paper play. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and call it a day. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, consider leaving a like or a comment on the way out. Have a great rest of the day. See ya!